Because I bet with any one of you, I could ask you to draw a point or draw a line, and you could do it. But to write a definition was probably tougher. Did anyone try looking up the definition for point in the book? Okay, what did you find, Carly? Okay, this is what's weird about points and lines in geometry. Technically, they don't have a definition. They are undefined. That's what this means. And I would go ahead and add that to your definition, even if you wrote one already. Technically, this was bad for me to even ask you to find a definition for them, because they don't have a definition. And the problem with their definition is that if you were to try to define point, you would somehow end up getting back to the word point. Like, you can't define point without using the word point. And so that's a bad definition. But what I want you to know about a point is that it's a specific location or an exact position. One of those phrases would be helpful. An exact position, a specific location. It's a place in a plane, all right? And that it doesn't really have any size. It's not like, there's no width, there's no depth. It's just one spot on a plane, okay? If you were to draw a picture of it, it's a dot. That's what a point is, okay? And what you'll see a lot of the times is the points will have capital letters next to them, which makes the symbol really, really easy. The symbol for this point is just whatever letter is right next to it, okay? So if I'm talking about this dot, when I'm writing, I would just write the letter A, and that would mean, okay, I'm talking about point A, okay? Same thing with line. Line is a set of points. So if it's using sort of an undefined term in there, it's straight, so it doesn't like curve or go crazy like that. But what I really want you to know about lines is that they extend infinitely in both directions, okay? They keep going on and on forever. So it's a collection of points that just run in a straight line. And see, there's the issue right there, is that I can't give you a definition for the word line without using the word line. But this is how you would draw a line, okay? With the arrows on both ends. That is important for a line, is that you have arrows on both ends. And that line is really made up of a bunch of little dots called points. Okay, I could draw as many dots on here as I wanted to. But what I would do to do the symbol for a line is I would just pick any two of those dots, all right, assuming they have letters on them. I would write them next to each other, and then I would put this symbol up above them, okay? So this is telling me this is line that contains points A and B, okay? Symbol for line. Good so far? Okay. So point and line are our undefined terms that technically don't have a definition. Okay. These next ones, segment, ray, and distance, all kind of have to do with lines. They're all like parts of lines. What did you find as a definition for segment? Anyone have one they're willing to share? Luke? Yeah. All right. Go ahead.
Part of a line connecting two points.
Okay, good. And this is our textbook definition. A set consisting of two endpoints and all the points in between. So you're right. It's like if I took that point A and point B and cut off everything in that line except for what's in between them. So a segment looks like this. It's like a piece of a line. So it's the points connecting between point A and point B. Those are called endpoints, by the way. The symbol for that, again, you use the two letters, except this time when you put that line up above it, you do not put the arrows on it, because a segment does not continue in any direction. Okay? Clayton?
Can it like cut through like a circle?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, it can. I mean, it can go through other things. It can, bisect other things, but it doesn't. It always has an end point. Like it ends here and it ends here. Right. If you put an arrow on it, that means that technically it could keep going forever. Okay. A ray is like a cross between a line and a segment. Okay? It gets one of each. It has an end point, but then it goes on forever in the other direction. So it's like it starts here and goes on forever in this direction. And for this symbol, symbols aren't stressing you out yet, are they? Okay. That's your symbol for ray. Now I do want to just say one quick word about these symbols, and we will hit on this more when we get into our first chapter. With line and segment, with these two, would it have mattered if I had called this BA? Would that still be talking about the same set of points? Sure, yeah, because if I connect those 2 points and have it go on forever, still talking about those same points. If I were to go from B to A here, I'm still talking about the points in between. So that would be okay. I could flip-flop the letters. Could I flip-flop the letters here? No, and that's important. What you want to make sure is that the first letter is always that end point letter. So even if your ray was pointing the other way, even if it looked like this, where the B was over here and the A was down here, you couldn't call that ray BA. You would need to call it ray AB, because you always want to start at the end point of the ray. Okay, so just an important thing to notice about symbols. Lines and segments, because it's either it keeps going forever or it stops here and here. The symbol doesn't matter what order you go in, but because of the ray, it's sort of a one of each deal. You have to make sure that you say it correctly. Good? Okay, this is an ugly definition for distance. Please do not copy that down. What did you write down for a definition of distance? Clayton?
The space between two objects.
Okay, good job. I worry about, in geometry, space is usually talking about like three-dimensional space, but you definitely have the right idea. Luke, what can you add to that?
I add the distance between x1 and y1.
Okay.
x2 and y1.
Okay, so you're thinking more like a coordinate plane, like the distance formula almost. Right idea, but again, your problem is, and this is the same problem I was having up here, you can't define distance with the word distance. Like if someone who didn't speak English came to you and said, what does distance mean? How would you explain it? Anybody else have a thought? Is that back there? Keegan?
How long something is?
Okay, good. I like that idea of length. What I would probably write here is the distance is just the length.
So instead of space is length.
Yeah, I would change it to, you would be totally fine with your definition, except if just change space to length. The length of the segment between 2 points. Oh, I'm going to write in the picture space. So if I had a segment like this, AB, and I measured this to have a length of 4, that would be the distance. Okay, it's the kind of the number of units on that line. Honestly, the only reason distance is even on this list is because I want you to see the symbol for distance in comparison with these other ones. Okay? If I want to talk about the distance between A and B, I just write AB, just like I did in all these other ones, but no line or anything up above. Okay? And that gets tricky because students get lazy sometimes. And so when you're writing your answers to a problem and you want to be talking about the segment, when you're talking about like the line from A to B, if you just write AB like this and leave out that symbol, that's technically a number. When you write AB like this, that should be equal to a number. That's a length or a distance. Okay? So if you want to talk about the segment, you use the symbol for segment. If you want to talk about how long the segment is, you would just write the AB. Does that make sense? Okay. I would bet all of you, moving on to that next one with angle, all of you were able to draw an angle. Yes? Okay. How about the definition? Tricky? Okay. Yeah, it's hard to write a definition for angle. And probably most of you would not have thought of it this way, but this really is the best definition for an angle. The union, which is a fancy way of saying you're putting two things together. So the union of two rays that have the same endpoint. So if you have an endpoint here, and you've got a ray going off this way and a ray going off this way, so they have the same endpoint, it's two rays, that right there is your angle. Okay? So I would make sure your definition says something about it being two rays put together. As long as you know it's two rays put together, you're fine. Symbol for angle just looks like an angle. And we're going to talk more later about how to name an angle. Okay, like do you name it angle ABC or, just angle F or whatever. Right now I just need you to know the way you would write it is you would put the angle symbol and then there would be letters after it. But as long as you know the symbol for now, you're good. Acute, right, and obtuse. Were you good on all those? Anybody talk about any of those?